uh, I'll be just giving a quick introduction about you, sir, and
Mm-hmm.
straight away then you can start the session. And we are also
Mm-hmm.
joined by the CIO of the Lulu hypermarket group, the Lulu International Group, and he would just share his words, and then finally we'll just conclude with Joseph, just thanking you for joining us today. So that would be just the agenda for the day, sir.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So I will just take up the initial 5 to 10 minutes, sir. After that, if you can run us through the entire session in maybe another 45 minutes, and then last 5 minutes would be for just the thank you note.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Hi sir, good morning. This is Joseph.
Good morning. Your video is not visible to me, and neither is that poster. It's just something in the background.
Yeah.
But not... Yeah, now I can see.
So we'll wait for just another 5 minutes and start. The session was set for 10:30.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sumit, you want to give a quick intro of Mr. Piyush, who's be joining us?
Joseph, I already did that. I also
Okay.
walked through, sir, on the agenda and how we'll be running the entire session.
Oh, great. Great.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is getting streamed on YouTube as well on real time. So many of the people are joining on the YouTube session. Sir, shall we start?
So we'll start the session now. Shane, can you cue up the video? Thank you, Shane. Dear all, thank you for attending the 53rd annual session of NFJS. Okay, thank you everyone for joining. Martin Luther King once said, the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in the moment of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at the time of challenge. In that way, today's NFJS topic and our guest speaker is very special. He's here to speak with us on how he and his team overcame the extreme challenges that India and Maharashtra faced during the COVID-19 pandemic. We are really fortunate that we have with us somebody who really emulates our concept of no fluff, just stuff. I.P.S. officer and commissioner of Railway Police, Mr. Quaiser Khalid. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr.
Good morning.
Hello.
Yeah,
Thank you, sir.
please.
Yeah. Mr. Khalid started his career as the Assistant Commissioner of Police and is presently serving as the Commissioner of Police Railways, Mumbai. Previously, he was the Inspector General of Police, Maharashtra. Mr. Khalid is an experienced commissioner with a demonstrated history of working in government administration. An officer of the Indian Police Service, Mr. Khalid has over 23 years of experience in public administration, policing, student counseling, social reform, motivational training, and community services. Over and above this, he also has an artistic side. Being an Urdu and Hindi poet, Mr. Khalid is also the founder president of non-profit and literary organization such as Pashbane-e-Adab in Mumbai and Jasne-e-Adab in New Delhi. His first anthology titled Shavure-e-Asar, The Consciousness of Times, was published in 2014, and he was awarded the Maharashtra State Urdu Sahitya Academy Award. We now welcome Mr. Khalid to address the 53rd annual NFJS session and share with us his experience. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Good morning. Assalamu alaikum. Namaskar. It's a pleasure to be associated with such wonderful people on such a lovely platform. Friends, it is difficult to recount the things that you have done, because I've always believed that it is the action which speaks louder than words, and let the action be seen by people. However, since I've been asked to speak on a subject which has been of very recent origin, probably none of us would have ever seen a lockdown. You have been in GCC countries, and sometimes some of you might have been in India also. The pandemic is kind of unheard of thing. Globally speaking, we could never imagine, even among the worst situations, that the whole country will be locked down. Not only India, but many other countries. There will be no movement of goods and people. People will not be allowed to come out of their houses. There will be no traffic on the roads. We are used to living in big cities where the city never sleeps, actually. I'm in Mumbai for the last 10, 11 years, and I've seen the city never sleeping. Whenever you go out on the road, you'll find some vehicle passing, some people sitting, chatting, somebody roaming around here and there. So therefore, the concept that there will be nobody on the road, in the trains will not run, public transport will not move, people will be confined to their houses, was something which was completely a shocker for most of us. We are used to directing people, you are used to controlling people, you are used to managing crowds, huge crowds at times. But this crowd is out. It is on the road. It is in a field. It is going somewhere. It may be demonstrating. It may be antagonistic to us. It may be criticizing us. But in a democracy, all of us have this right to live as per our desires and to move as per our desire and to undertake any activity which we prefer or we like to do, which is legal as per our own desires at any point of time. All of a sudden, it happens that these all liberties are withdrawn. The Epidemic Act, which is being implemented in this country, was last I remember was implemented in Surat when this plague broke out. And that was also 25, 30 years ago, if not more. So what has happened? That all of a sudden we had a situation where the movement itself was crippled and almost completely crippled. Now, it is easy to romanticize about these situations, but think of people who are living in slums. Think of people who are living in small houses. Think of the people who are living in factory. Some of you, if you had this opportunity to visit many of these factories which are located in slums. And let me tell you, when I say slum, it doesn't mean a very filthy area. It means small houses with very bare minimum amenities. And these slums, as far as I see, either in Mumbai or Delhi or any other big city in India, are actually the nerve centers of production. A lot of branded stuff that you are purchasing elsewhere in showrooms are actually being manufactured in these slums. Be it clothing, be it leather goods, be it accessories, be it your bag, be it your jackets, be it your jeans, be it any great embroidery work that you see on the top-notch brands. They are being carried out here. And in what conditions? Many times it so happens that one group of person is sleeping in one side of the room and the other is working. And there's some space where the food is being cooked. And in that cooking, a group of persons are involved. So life goes about all the time. I mean, just one group is sleeping, other group is working. Then the other group gets up, freshens up, eats something, it goes on work, and the other group sleeps. So you require food, you require water, you require other basic facilities around the clock. Also, house in poorer areas is not a place where you relax. House is simply a place where you come and sleep. And most of the time you're out of the house working. So the house will not have the full population all the time. Maybe at night time, all the people of the family would come and sleep, and as the day breaks, they go to their work in different directions. Though really speaking, there is hardly any crowding in those houses. But if you confine people during the daytime, it's really, really very suffocating. That in a small room, if 6, 8 people have to live and to see each other only all the time or see the television only, is difficult to sustain this thing. And also because there's hardly any space for storage. Therefore, you have to purchase your stuff every now and then. You cannot store vegetables. You cannot store most of the food items. You cannot store most of your daily requirements of the things. You actually purchase and consume it because there's hardly any space in the house. And when all of a sudden the market closes, then you are left with nothing. You have money, but there are just no goods available. There is no commodity shop open. So what do? How do you feed yourself? How do you survive? From where do you get your stuff, your things? Okay, if it would have been for say 10, 15, 12, 20 days, people might have shared things and could have managed the situation. But what happens if it continues for 3 months or 6 months? Very difficult challenge. I worked in Mumbai for a long time, almost 10 years. And having been active in social activities, social service, as my introduction was being read out, I have worked with students, I have worked with slum people, I have worked with the poorest of the poor, and therefore I knew their situation and understood what is the problem which is being faced by these people. Under these circumstances, if we were to protect and sustain human lives and protect people from hunger, from destitution, the only way out was to organize food distribution among these people, unfortunate people who do not have enough resources, one, to purchase, and opportunity to purchase. So we, along with a group of other NGOs, decided on a plan. Now, the problem in COVID lockdown is this, that people cannot come out of their houses. They cannot crowd. The normal distribution mechanism, which we see and often practice, is that you actually cook food, prepare a counter, put people in line, distribute. They will sit there, eat, or they will take the food to their houses and eat there. So there is crowd. People are coming out of their houses. They are coming out of their rooms. They are actually creating a line, and that line is mostly on the road. Imagine when these things are not being permitted. How do you ensure that you are able to distribute food also and without attracting this crowding? And also remember that human nature is very fragile. Even in the worst circumstances, jealousy never fades away. So if you are actually organizing something, there will be n number of people who will be jealous of it and will try to find fault and will try to somehow sabotage this action or this activity, because ultimately the humanitarian assistance also leads to popular perception change, and you emerge as a leader there. And if you emerge as a leader, as a person who came for their rescue, who stood by them and with them in hours of crisis, you are actually claiming a political space. And if you are claiming a political space, the existing political forces will feel jittery if they are unable to match your standards, if they are unable to match your services. So complications emerge, groupisms emerge. People will try to find fault in what you're doing and will try to hurt you when it hurts the most. That was a difficult challenge. And having worked in Mumbai, and especially eastern suburbs of Mumbai, which are among the poorest of the poor, and which are the nerve center of most of these industrial activities, it was a massive challenge to organize food and other essential commodity distribution. You need resources. It is difficult to sustain a drive without resources. And even if you have resources, even if you have money, from where you are going to get the food? That was second question. So with the help of a series of networks, we set up a central kitchen in one area where it was actually existing, and we took over that kitchen. Now, even if we prepare food, how do we transport that? Because that will require passes from the authorities. With a lot of difficulty, we could get those passes, and we were able to transport the food. Now, the question which was before us is how to distribute it and how to ensure that the distribution is effective. The food reaches the needy people. So after a lot of deliberations, we thought of enlisting the support of the cable people. As you know, in India, still, the cable is one of the most important sources of entertainment. And a cable person would visit the house. He would exactly know which house is where and how many people live in that house. He will know the route to that house. He would also know the economic condition of those people. So with the help of cable operators, we did a kind of quick survey. And we had a list of the people who are at the lowest of the low and who are really, really facing a situation of scarcity and starvation. We could not call these people out because if they come on the road, they will be violating the curfew which was being imposed and the restrictions which are being imposed. So we have to distribute and take the food to them. How do we do that? So then we devised a system of small scooters and motorcycles with 2 volunteers each. These volunteers were given a specific area, a specific number of houses. Say every volunteer or set of volunteers has 200 houses to look after. So they will pick up food from our storage, which in turn would come from the central kitchen. They will themselves comply with all the norms of mask, sanitization. They will carry this food and keep it before the door of the concerned person, knock the door and go ahead for distribution to a different house. The person who is inside the house would come out, would take that food and will go inside. We set up a small control room to monitor the movement of food distribution, whether the food is being distributed in time, whether the quality of food is good enough, whether people are satisfied, whether there are some complaints, and how to rectify any shortcomings that might be there. So with this distribution mechanism, we found that we can distribute the food efficiently, but then we were running out of resources. So we sent out a lot of appeal to different organizations, donors, NGOs, corporates, and requested them to help us, extend help to us under their corporate social responsibility. And I'm happy to share that a lot of good institutions, they actually came forward. They supplied nutritional food, they supplied cooked food, they donated fruits, dates, milk, ration. We repackaged them and we distributed them. We got fortified khichdi material, which you just have to boil and the khichdi will be made or will be ready, and it will be nutritious because it has fortification in terms of vitamins, in terms of certain proteins and all that. With that kind of food and with that kind of distribution, I'm giving just one example, that the Taj Sats Corporation, which is supplying food to aircrafts, was kind enough to supply food to us also. So for the first time, we were able to secure a food which is being served to the uppermost echelons of the society, being distributed in slums. The trucks used to come and they used to deliver food. A lot of other industrial groups, commercial groups, PSUs also help us out. Now, during this lockdown, if you remember, the fasting season also came, Ramzan. Now, since eastern suburbs has substantial Muslim population also, therefore the usual timing of the food preparation and distribution had to be altered because people will not be eating in the day. They will need iftar and they will need food for sehri. So what do? So we marshaled resources. We tapped milk from its very source. In Mumbai, if the milk is being sold at 52 rupees a liter, we source it from dairy at almost 50% or 60% the cost. We used to take trucks or tankers of milk from the dairy directly. Also, all the people who were selling fruits and vegetables in that area, we networked them and we requested them, whatever is unsold portion of their fruit or vegetables, they should sell it to us on cost to cost basis in the evening, so that they also do not incur losses and we are able to get good quality supply at a reasonable price. So we started on the central kitchen in that area itself, and we started cooking this iftar and sehri, and we started distributing accordingly as per timing. Such was the confidence of people in our networking and distribution that we started getting other demands. Many people had food, but they had no kerosene to cook. So we arranged for kerosene oil distribution. There were many people, families which were affected, which were not having sanitary napkins. We got a demand. So we organized distribution of sanitary napkins also. We actually purchased them and gave it and distributed to people. Similarly, about medicine and other things, we started getting demands. So we realized that yes, we have been able to build that trust of the people in our work, and therefore they are asking us for reasonable things. So some of the funding that we got from our donors, we actually channelize these things into these distributions. Also, when we got bulk supply, we used to prepare packets and we distributed those packets. Some of the supply which was excess at some point of time, we kept it in our storage, and gradually as the other supplies ran out, we started distributing these supplies. All in all, towards the end of this season, we were able to distribute 30,000 food packets per day for the people. We also channelize distribution in other areas by connecting the donor with the distributor. Though we were not directly involved, but I, in my capacity as a responsible member of the society, I would say, and the credibility, whatever I had built over the last 25 years by working in this state, we were able to do and get a lot of such things and ensure their distribution. Essentially, if you see, the core of this entire working is the trust of the people in you and in your administration. This trust does not come easily. It doesn't get built up easily. For any leader to earn trust of his fellow citizen, you have to serve them a lifetime. You have to be seen as a person or man of words. You have to be humble. You have to be helping. And wherever you are unable to help them, or there are certain restrictions or limitations on your capability, you have to explain to them that due to these reasons, this thing cannot be done. Over a period of time, if you keep doing this kind of thing, it creates a bond of trust between the people and the leadership. And this bond of trust is essential to running of an organization. This is my learning and this is my takeaway from my experience during the COVID times and prior to that also. When there were no COVID, we used to help people. I, as a matter of principle, always thought and believe in that we must leave the place a better place than what we had inherited. What we got when we moved in is not important. What we leave behind is important. And what you leave behind must be superior to what you get. Then only you can draw satisfaction in your work. Then only your work can be rewarded. Then only you will have that contentment. Yes, I had an opportunity. I tried to make best possible use of that opportunity, and I have contributed something. All our plans may not succeed. When we were distributing this food, there was lathi charge on our store and office. I'm from police. I had to speak to superior formations of Mumbai police. Ask them, what is this? Why is this happening? There were a lot of other issues in distribution of passes because influential people cornered, according to some people, most of these passes, and we were left behind with very minimal number of that. So there will be challenges, but these challenges also create opportunities. You have to find ways and means to make best possible use of that situation. It's like this, somebody is throwing stone at you. You either throw the stone back or collect the stones and build your house out of those stones. So we took the latter lesson, that whatever is the adversity, whatever is the problem, we will face it, we'll learn, we'll quickly adapt, and we will come out with a system which is better. By grace of God, we were able to do that. It was a great challenge of leadership, because to network with people, network with big corporates is not an easy thing. They will not come out and help you unless there is a credibility, unless they cross-check and find that, yes, he's a person who can be trusted and who is capable and competent to further their own goals of serving the people. So we had help from, as I spoke, I.P.S, from Reliance Foundation, from a lot of other things, from Chef Sanjeev Kapoor, from a lot of other trusts, NGOs, Swaminarayan, the Mandir Group, Haji Ali Dargah, then Diniyat Trust, then Makhdoom Dargah. I'm aware of the work done by Harivansh Rai Bachchan Foundation, and a lot of other things. We need to network. And towards the end of this lockdown came the evacuation drive of the laborers who were stuck up. That was a different kind of challenge. Till now, we were distributing food. Now we have to send these people on trains to their hometowns. Now that was a very tedious process because you have to prepare a list, you have to get them registered, you have to bring them, these people, much in advance. You have to ensure that they get allotment in a rail or in a bogie, and they are there on time and they comply with government directions, and then they are seen off so that they reach their hometowns or destinations in proper shape, healthy and well nourished. We have been scolded by our seniors. We have been scolded by our village people, our people from the area. What are you doing there? Why it is happening? Why it is taking so long? Why we have to stand in line, stand in queue for such long time, and all that. And I'm not the only officer. There are a number of other officers who are working here and who manage these things. They have all been scolded by our fellow brethren back home, our relatives, because their expectations were very high. Since we are here, we are in Mumbai town, we are in a position to organize these things, so we must do it very quickly. You can well imagine a situation that where we have to arrange for railway bogies or trains, where we have to evacuate close to 12 lakh people. The data the other day I was seeing, we evacuated around 12 lakh people by train. There were a lot of charter flights. There are a lot of buses organized. And all these things will have to go trouble-free. They are not stopped at different district or state borders. They have to have proper documentation. All those things were there. And we, by grace of God, were able to organize this drive. And I'm happy to share that the governor of Maharashtra has recognized our efforts and he has awarded us, I think, twice or thrice in the Raj Bhavan, Governor's House, in different programs. All in all, what we learned from this thing is you have to be very, very clear about your goals. The networking is very important, and you have to have a network with credible people and institutions, and they must have trust and faith in you. Your capability to organize relief and rescue is something which is a very difficult kind of thing. We are not trained for that.
I think
We're not trained for that. So, and then our people are also not trained with that. And in police, if you see, while we're enforcing the lockdown, hundreds of our brethren have been infected and scores of our people have died. Across the Maharashtra, large number of thousands policemen have been infected. See, when you check somebody and when you impose restrictions, then you are actually exposed to that person. He might be a carrier. When somebody is on the road, then you need to check his papers, his documentations. That brings that person in one-to-one contact. Despite precautions that are being taken, the exposure was there. It could not have been removed actually. Our own health was fragile. Our people suffered because the trains had stopped, which was the main mode of transportation. The buses were also not plying. So that was under difficult situation. People had to travel hour or 2 hours on motorcycles to come on job. All the hotels were closed, though there was problem of their own food. And if you remember, this happened in peak summer. So summertime, the temperature is pretty high because of all the shops are closed, institutions are closed. So drinking water also became scarce. Their own health and then exposure to sun and stroke was there. So it was the most challenging time to do duty. And this duty was never ending duty. It continued for at least 6 months. So a very difficult situation. And during that situation, to network with the people, to marshal and garner resources, to ensure their distribution, and to win the faith of people was a challenge. And as I previously mentioned, that this challenge was not only limited to the logistics. The challenge was also human. The challenge was also our own emotions. The challenge was also the rivalries. The challenge was also the emergence as a leader. The challenge was institution also, because many in our police unfortunately believe that our job is not to rescue and help people distribute food, but to enforce the lockdown guidelines. And that was enough. Yes, that was necessary. We have to enforce whatever government has asked us to enforce. But beyond this khaki uniform, we are also human beings. And as human beings, as members of society, as members whom society trusts, members to whom society has given certain powers and privileges, we must be humane first. Service to humanity is service to God. We must never forget that. And in that path, we will face a lot of challenges, because the path of truth, the path of justice, the path of righteousness is never an easy path. It is never an easy option in life at any point of time. It will have challenges. There will be backstabbing. There will be problems. There will be conspiracies. There will be issues of defaming you. There will be troubles. People will try to cut you down to size. But then, all is well that ends well. So, after doing this kind of, organizing this kind of service and serving people during the lockdown, today, I think my level of contentment and satisfaction with my own self and with my colleagues is definitely higher than what it used to be before the lockdown. So that gave us an opportunity to actually serve people in distress. I think despite the problems which this lockdown created, it also created a unique opportunity, not only for us, but also for corporates, for also other people, to show their humane face, the kinder face, their commitment to the society. And as it is told, a society is not known or not assessed by what its best do. It is also assessed by what its worst have-nots are doing, how they are being treated, how they are doing in life, at what level they are. If I am able to have billions and billions of dollars or rupees, but people are starving, there is malnourished, there are malnourished children, women are dying during pregnancy and childbirth, the infant mortality rate is high, drinking water is not available in a safe manner, sanitation facilities are not available, education is scarce, employment is scarce, then we need to revisit and rethink our own parameters. A society is not a good society if it is not just, if it is not fair, if it is not kind, if it is not having empathy towards its worst section, the most have-nots. And if you look at the society across the globe, the societies which we call as progressive, which we call as better, are the societies where human and humanism and human efforts and human sacrifices to raise the level of the have-nots has been at the highest. This crisis offered an opportunity to this country and other countries and other places as well. So this was a small talk or presentation or brief on what we did as police officers, what we did as human beings, as members of society, and what we faced, what were our experiences during that period. But I think the biggest asset that a human being could have and has is hope. It never dies down, and it should never die down. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. It was indeed an insightful and inspirational session. And I'm sure your wonderful message to build a credible network, gain people's trust, and be humane. That's a wonderful message, and I hope this is something that we will carry in our heart and try to apply in our day-to-day work. Okay. We also, I'm sure we all will also be praying to Almighty that the world continues to have the strength to fight and recover from the pandemic soon. Right. On a lighter note, sir, it's not every day that we get the chance to speak to a hero cop who is also a shire, right? So I'm sure you knew this catch would be there. So on behalf of Lulu family, I humbly request you to share a shairi, to lighten up this occasion.
I'll recite a nazm, a poem, which I wrote. In fact, it was being written for an international drama production, and the plot that was given to me was that two lovers, they get separated because of border. They are unable to cross and therefore unable to meet. And I was told to write something on that. So I started reflecting on that. What is a border? Soon I realized that a border is not just a physical thing which separates one country from other. A border is something which separates a human being from another human being. So all the things which separate us from each other are borders. Be it your religion, be it your social strata, be it your caste, be it your creed, be it your culture, anything that separates one human being from the other is a border. Whatever creates a wall in between people and does not allow people to meet freely, interact freely, is actually a border. So since I'm a poet of Urdu, therefore this nazm is in Urdu. So I'll recite some of the verses of this nazm. This is called Sarhad, border. It goes like this. मिलने दो, अब मिलने दो ना, मिलने दो, अब मिलने दो ना, दिल से दिलों को जुड़ने दो ना, दिल से दिलों को जुड़ने दो ना, कलियां दिलों की खिलने दो ना, कलियां दिलों की खिलने दो ना, मिलने दो, अब मिलने दो ना, एक सी रंगत एक सी बोली, एक सी रंगत एक सी बोली, एक ही मिट्टी एक सी बातें, एक सी रंगत एक सी बोली, एक ही मिट्टी एक सी बातें, एक से दिन हैं एक सी रातें, एक से दिन हैं एक सी रातें, ख्वाब भी हैं एक जैसे ही जब, ख्वाब भी हैं एक जैसे ही जब, रंग फिर उनमें भरने दो ना, रंग फिर उनमें भरने दो ना, मिलने दो, अब मिलने दो ना, दिल से दिलों को जुड़ने दो ना, रिश्ता और नाता भी वही है, रिश्ता और नाता भी वही है, ख्वाहिशो ख्वाब दुआ भी वही है, ख्वाहिशो ख्वाब दुआ भी वही है, मायूसी आशा भी वही है, मायूसी आशा भी वही है, मिलने का जज्बा भी वही है, मिलने का जज्बा भी वही है, फूल और फल दरिया भी वही है, फूल और फल दरिया भी वही है, फिर ये बर्फ पिघलने दो ना, फिर ये बर्फ पिघलने दो ना, मिलने दो, अब मिलने दो ना, दिल से दिलों को जुड़ने दो ना, हुस्न व इश्क भी एक से अपने, हुस्न व इश्क भी एक से अपने, एक सी हसरत एक है सपने, हुस्न व इश्क भी एक से अपने, एक सी हसरत एक है सपने, खौफो यकीन भी साथ हमारे, खौफो यकीन भी साथ हमारे, हर सू वहशत पांव पसारे, खौफो यकीन भी साथ हमारे, हर सू वहशत पांव पसारे, सरहद हम दोनों को पुकारे, सरहद हम दोनों को पुकारे, हाथ पकड़कर चलने दो ना, हाथ पकड़कर चलने दो ना, सरहद हम दोनों को पुकारे, हाथ पकड़कर चलने दो ना, मिलने दो, अब मिलने दो ना, दिल से दिलों को जुड़ने दो ना.
Sir, wow. Well, big round of applause, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
If only I knew this shayari before I was proposing this to my wife, right? Before the marriage, I could have used this. Thank you so much, sir. Now welcome Mr. Piyush Kumar, the group CIO, Lulu Group International, right, to share a few words and his key takeaways from the session. So please.
Sure. Thank you. What an inspiring story. I would say thank you, sir. And we salute you for all the work that you guys are doing. And the way you have narrated about being a human side, and I think is really, really mind-blowing, I would say. And when people talk about call for duty, right, as a word, I kind of have not heard this term very often in the past, but when COVID happened, I think the word call for duty became so very important And the call for duty while being in essential services, obviously, there are a lot of essential services, health services, your services. But I think what you have demonstrated is there is a call of duty beyond your professional call of duty, which I think is the most important aspect, which is the call of humanity, or our duty towards our human beings. And I think to me, it was a really heart-touching explanation of the way you spoke. And I could see the feeling and the emotions that you brought in, which means that you are very passionate about it, which I think is sometimes people feel that the cops are to be seen as really in some other way. But I think you brought a very different angle of a super cop. So we salute you. We thank you for taking out time, and make sure that we wish you all the best for the future. So I have a few things which I wanted, which are going in my mind, and let me give you a little perspective. And when you talked about Surat, so I have been in two such instances in my previous lives, or in my past. Is that I was in Surat at that time. I can remember 1993 December is when this whole thing broke, and we were secluded. I was a student at that time. We were in a hostel in NIT Surat, and with no communication anysoever, no food getting in, and we basically, all the students from whatever was there in the pantry, on the backside of the pantry, we used to cook and things like that. And then we had to walk overnight for about 7 kilometers just to flee out of Surat and catch a truck. We sat on the truck which was moving from Delhi to Mumbai, and then we reached to Mumbai and then took a train out of there. So I can just imagine some of the things that you are talking about. Let me ask you one thing. While you talked about the other part of it, how do you motivate your staff? So in this kind of a situation, how do you make sure that it is kind of asking your employees to go out in a field? Obviously, there are people who do on the borders and things like that. But when everybody is trying to say that you stay at home, you be cautious, you take precautions, how do you motivate your staff to basically go and do the duty? And I just want to understand, how do you manage that so effectively and efficiently in the context that you have managed this event?
Sir, it was really, really very difficult because we are used to fighting a person or an enemy who's known and who is visible to us. I mean, we have fought. I work in Naxal area, so anti-insurgency campaign I have run. I have faced bullets. We have faced criminals. We have faced underworld in Mumbai. We have faced other notorious gangsters and other people. But then I'm able to see that person. I can also anticipate what moves he will make and what kind of action he will take, and how do I save myself and how do I catch hold of that person. But here there was somebody who was completely invisible. I don't know where the virus is. And everybody was so scared. See, Mumbai, we started in February. The first cases got reported in February. And by 22nd of March, we had this lockdown. Now, this lockdown created unique problem for us. One, that most of our constabulary was staying away. They used to come from train. If you see Mumbai constable, what will happen that he will be wearing this khaki pant and he will be putting a shirt on his khaki shirt, or sometimes just puts a civil shirt and khaki shirt will be in his back. So he will come on the duty, change that shirt, and he will report. Now the trains stopped. So if he is coming from Kalyan or he is coming from Ballapur or Vasai or Virar, then he has to travel at least for 1 hour. 1 hour means that 50 odd kilometers. So that is consuming his petrol. He has to bring his vehicle, additional cost, and there's no food available because all hotels are closed. So what do? So as a part of our drive, first we came ourselves on road. We came on road because we have to lead from front. If we sit in our cozy offices and say, constable, you do this thing, and nobody is going to do that. So, sir, aap to baithe hue ho, humko kyun marwa rahe ho? You know, there's a very typical difference. So we came. The marches that we undertook were all led by the senior most officers. Many of us got sick because of that. But then we continued that trend. Checking, we were there on many spots. We kept on moving. So we were standing with one spot with some constable at some point of time to other. Then we ourselves started observing all these things. Whatever precaution has to be taken, all of my constables will take, and I'll also take those precautions. I'm not an immune. I will put my bloody my mask. I'll put the gloves and whatever. Thirdly, I must ensure that my people are safest. So they must get sanitizer. They must get mask. They must get food supply. So we arrange for food supply for these people. who were out on the duty, because there's no other way in which they can survive themselves. 12-hour duty. So food supply to them, water supply to them, then making arrangement for sanitation, because we have to erect a lot of chowkis, temporary chowkis. It is nothing but a tent. So we have to arrange those things. So that as part of logistic, it was an extensive, massive challenge. How do I ensure that my constable stays on duty? For that, I was mentioning the summer heat. In Mumbai, if you are there in May or June, or even in April, the temperatures go quite high, and with the humidity kind of thing, it's sucks out all your energy. So we ensure that we must lead from the front. We must be seen sharing the same space as my own people. We must be seen getting exposed to the same kind of threat as my own people are there. And we must ensure that we all take precaution and we are able to supply the essentials. That is the food, water, and other sanitation requirements. That has to be ensured. And also frequent movement of officers. They must be seen on the road. They must be seen patrolling. Because as it is, the clerks stopped coming to offices. The office work was stopped. And so we have to be out. Also, wherever it was possible to facilitate some kind of emergency evacuation, we did that. Issued a lot of passes. Because it's so happened, and I've seen these examples. A girl went to meet her friends from Vasai to Virar, and the lockdown happened. So what is happening? The trains have stopped. She is there in friend's house. She is unable to come back to her family. She needs a pass. So with the SP of the district, we contacted, and then we got a pass issued to her, and then she could be brought here. So this has happened to a lot of people. Patients were there. They had come to Mumbai, Tata Memorial and other hospitals. They got stuck up. One of my friends, his child got born on 12th of March. So people from UP had come to see the child. And 22nd, you have this lockdown. So in a house, you have 20 people who have come to see the child, and they are all there. So a lot of challenges were there, unique challenges. We never had those challenges actually. And the worst was, in all these slums, you just cannot impose this lockdown, because how 10 people live in a 12 by 12 house? What will they do? They have to come out. When they have a shared bathroom, they have to go out. Dharavi, Gondi, Shivaji Nagar, Mankur, all big slums, because there are no toilets inside the room. They have to come out. And then, how would you keep children? So we have to be liberal with them. We have to allow them to play. With precautions, but play. Play cricket or play whatever. I cannot just put a lock outside the house and say, no, bloody, you will not come out. They will die out of some frustration. So it was a very different kind of challenge. And then there were literate people. Who are you to stop me from moving in my own country? On my own road, I pay all taxes. Have you announced that the mask is compulsory? I've heard this. Why you are demanding that I must wear a mask? Is my life. And then people, we all, in Mumbai, the culture is what? Morning you'll find a lot of people in the park because they go for walking and other exercises. Parks are closed. Where will these people be? On the road. And on which roads? Internal roads. So a lot of different kind of challenges came, and we were never trained for, addressing these people. We have to show your empathy and concern, and they say, sir, ye mat karo. I cannot just get danda marunga idhar kyun ghum raha hai. I cannot do that. I have to explain to him why it is unsafe for him to come out. He says, sir, ghar mein baith ke kya karunga? And I have no answer to that. So it is such a difficult and complex situation. I mean, if you must have lived in Mumbai, you have seen we have very thickly populated areas. And in Mumbai, the houses are not self-sufficient. You go and bring your provisions from any shop. The shops are open all the time. So all of a sudden, there is no shop open. I told you that example of sanitary napkins. I mean, the woman said, call up. Bhai, wo napkin ki zarurat hai. Because they are not going, whom they are going to tell this thing. So there are certain kind of things which, this challenge was such that everybody got affected. I stay in Malabar Hill, and Malabar Hill is probably the costliest living area. I stay in a government quarter, by the way. So Malabar Hill or Dharavi, everybody is facing the same problem. Yeah, I also don't want to get confined to my house. I'm used to going out in the morning for a walk. I've been scolded twice. by policeman. Why are you roaming? I know answer. Said, Chukla. It's my mistake. So though I was an IG, I said, Chukle lad maji. Sorry, I'm sorry, it's my mistake. So it's like this. You have to be very, very humane, and you have to be. Leadership is actually tested in crisis. This is what we felt here. Take a hierarchy and institutional things are there. You put on certain things on your shoulder, your rank and badges. Fine, these designations are there. But when it is threat to life, then you have to be seen taking equal kind of load. If I'm in my office and my constable is on the road, he will say, I mean, why sir is not coming? He is so safe. So what happened when I went for his vaccination? I ensured that my bodyguard and driver also get vaccinated simultaneously. Because I cannot be seen this ki I am an elite and I got this done and they are not getting done. So I requested the doctor ki, sir, out of turn inka kar do. Main to register karke aaya hu, but since they work with me, they could not get registered. So please, inka registration karke isko karwa do. So massive challenge, and not only in Mumbai, across the state, across the country, and more so in Mumbai because we do not have space. In UP and Bihar, though you have space, though it was such, and then we have international travelers here. Every day, people are coming. Now, another problem in Mumbai, getting lots of call from outside. I mean, outside country. Sab, we are coming, so will we be quarantined? Where will we be quarantined? Can you ensure this? Can I flee? Can I go to my home? You know, a lot of other issues are there, and these are relations. So I have to ensure and explain to him, look, institutional quarantine is available in all 5-star hotels. We had a list of all the hotels. The rates were fixed. So after that, then that exit certificate was another problem, because then nobody knew, the corporation officials. So we had to facilitate that you will get your exit certificate. And then people, I mean, from Delhi to Kerala, people have gone on cars and vehicles. Now, if you are crossing 5 states, you will require 5 passes. How do you get that? So, massive challenge. I told you, I have been scolded by my own brethren back home. तुम क्या कर रहे हो? इतना भी नहीं होता तुमसे? लोग लाइन में खड़े हैं, थाने में 4 घंटे से बैठा कर रखा है. अब सब करता हूँ. I mean, you cannot retort also. मैं करता हूँ. I kept one officer only for this purpose कि भाई ये सारा काम करा के रखना है. So it's like this.
Excellent. And I think the key message here is, and I think we have always learned in our back in management and every kind of course that we go through, leading from the front and leading by example. I think these are two things which are so relevant in a humanitarian crisis, particularly. Yeah. And I think, as you rightly said, along with that, you have to bring in the human angle always. Without the human angle, just trying to go by the bookish laws and bookish processes will not work. And I think beautifully articulated, I would say, the way you have kind of said, how do you bring in the human angle, how do you bring in leadership qualities, and then still be very composed, because it is very easy for an individual to break at this point of time and say, "Bahut ho gaya" types, right? So really inspiring. I would say that thank you for all the work that you have done. So I also heard about your passion about poetry and shairi. That you, how long have you been doing it? And if you can just do a little bit more in terms of what has been, how long you've been doing it, what are your particular areas of interest in that?
Sir, this is a very old disease. It started from my childhood, but then, and as Ghalib has beautifully mentioned, there are two kinds of sorrows in this world. One is sorrow for the beloved, and one is sorrow for your own stomach, tummy, or employment. The first had to be taken care of first. That means the second has to be taken care of first. That means you must find an employment so that you are able to feed yourself and sustain. So I kept writing, but after I came into services, this service gave me an opportunity to be exposed to various kind of situations. You see, all poetry and in fact all art forms are nothing but expression of human relationships. Our basic relationship is with our own self first. Then it is your beloved, your family, your society, your country, the humanity in general, your environment, events, memories, everything. So these are all relationships, webs of relationships, which are kind of engulfing us from all the sides. And police service provided me an opportunity to look very closely into these things. I've seen different kind of betrayals. I've seen different kind of relationships going worse, bad to worse, and going sour, and incest, this, that, all kind of nonsense that happens between people, and how commercial things break up, how trust goes, and everything. So what happens? Every dimension of human behavior you are exposed to. So I worked on two levels. One is the person who's coming to me with a story. First, I should help him, make him comfortable. But beyond that, I also heard that story very patiently. And I used to reflect on that why has this happened? Why only should this happen? What is the alternative narrative which could have been built? And once you start delving into these kind of things, crest and trough, ups and downs, kind of crisscross path that we take, a lot of thoughts emerge, a lot of insights emerge. And literature is richer if you have insight. Or for that matter, any organization, any leadership role will only be possible if you have insight into things. And that insight helped me, like a lot of things. I will coming to Dubai also, and I know Lulu is based there. We are organizing an event in the month of August, hopefully in Dubai, with Jashne Urdu. There's an organization there. With the help of that, and my two organizations from Mumbai and Delhi will be organizing 2 days literature and culture event. So there will be some discussion also. So what has happened that we have tried to bring the best within myself and within other people and connect it to a quality audience. What had used to happen in literature, that the audience used to be so third rate that they needed a third rate poet or a literature, So they will speak on religion, they will speak on politics, they will speak on conflicts and repetitive things, kind of slogan shouting, and we kept our own selves on the backside. Not a photograph, not a name, nothing. It is the performer or the speaker or the poet or the writer who is important. He will have the limelight. We'll all be workers, volunteers, serving, connecting it to the people who understand. Because our own thing is, it's food for soul. If you read, you get food for soul. If you listen to something good, it is a food for soul. So nothing can be better food for soul but literature. I mean, your insight. Even yesterday, one of my friends got pissed off with me because I did not return the calls. I was kind of in a meeting. So then I sent a couplet by Ahmad Faraz के इधर उधर से कई आ रही हैं आवाजें, इधर उधर से कई आ रही हैं आवाजें और उसका ध्यान बहुत ही नामाक चाहता है. So I have to focus completely when I'm thinking of somebody and speak to that person with full concentration and full attention. So it got resolved. But it happens this way, that when you listen to something good, you get an insight. I mean, when I read Ghalib or Mir or Iqbal or Faiz or Farah or any good people, Dinkar or Sumitan Pant, even Punjabi people, even Bengali writers, they have insight. Good writers will always have insight, and they will come out with something which will help you understand human better, the society better, the relationships better. So it makes you a better human being. And with police in background, somehow I got it in a dose more than warranted because I see crime, I see dead bodies, I see relationships getting spoiled and all that kind of thing. Sometimes it so happened at one point of time that my faith in relationships was getting almost close to zero. Because a lot of crime when you see, then you realize ki kya ho gaya yaar. But then I pulled myself back and I wrote about those things in my poetry. But you have to be very sensitive, and it's like brain hemorrhage. You will not, the injury will not be from outside; it will be deep inside, here or here. So, ठीक है, वो नसीब है. So
Excellent. And I think you balance your job, which actually is very demanding, but the poetry is giving you these spices to be empathetic. Really appreciated. And I would say I've been kind of listening to this song, which is, although it was a very famous song, but I think because Santosh Anand, Zindagi ek pyar ka nagma hai, bas teri meri ek kahani hai. That's all life is all about. It's all about teri meri kahani. And I think it's just on the hour. I would say we would have to close it here. We would love to hear more from you, but I think because of time constraint, we have to stop here. Thank you very much for this inspiring talk. And Khuda Hafiz.
Thank you, PSG. Yeah. Thank you, PSG, for a wonderful time. And we also, I'm sorry, I know we extended time, but maybe another just quick 5-10 minutes more. So we also have Mr. Vasudevan, who is the CEO for Tables India, who's also actually based out of Mumbai. So Mr. Vasudevan, if you can just share a quick few words about the section and your experience today. Mr. Vasu?
Vasu on mute.
I'm muted. Thank you, Sumit. Sir, first and foremost, it was really a fantastic session. We heard this heartwarming and spirited story about humanity and how you did this incredible feat. And then I can understand a little bit of that, probably not all, because I was in Bombay during that time. I was in Thane actually. So I was part of that quarantine at home, stranded. And I know how Bombay is. ये जो आप railway की बात बोल रहे हैं, I have been on those trains. So I know how difficult it is in life in Bombay without trains, without anything. Fantastic learning from this, how you have led by example, how you have really motivated the team, sir. Brought back a lot of faith, actually, if you ask me personally, on humanity at large, and also on the way you said that the authorities and you and your team brought it together. Because we have always seen, like you said, the police is seen as authority, it is seen as power, but to see and hear about the humane side of it, it was really very heartwarming. Gracious, thank you, sir, for this. Only one question I will ask, very short one, because I think Piyushji covered a lot of the questions that we probably all of us had. Is that you mentioned once as part of this discussion that when you start doing these things for the greater good of humanity, you have a lot of people trying to pull you down, trying to put up obstacles, etc. So how do you keep yourself motivated, sir? Like, because normally we all say कि अरे ये तो होने वाला नहीं है. I mean, like nothing changes.
You see, so I mentioned that people will throw stones at you. So if you throw the stone back, then you actually lose that. So collect it, make your own house. It is kind of gift. You have to see your purpose. See, when we're working, so people start saying, "Ye to election ladne wala hai idhar se." I myself suffered that, and my office, in fact, got lathi charge. So I spoke to Joint Commissioner of Police Bombay. क्या चल रहा है सर? आप ऐसा करोगे तो हम काम कैसे करेंगे? नहीं, बहुत सारा कॉल 100 नंबर पे आ रहा है, गर्दी हो रही है, ऐसा हो रहा है, वैसा हो रहा है. And then I spoke to other officers and explained to him what we are doing and how we are doing this thing. The result of this was that he said कि सर आपको जितना पास चाहिए मैं और दे देता हूँ. And kindly, it was a mistake from our side. And please continue doing this thing. तो थोड़ी देर के लिए तो दुख हुआ. हमारे लोग लाठी खाने के बाद परेशान होते हैं. एक तो हम खाना दे रहे हैं यार आपको, ऊपर से हम पीट भी रहे हो मुझे. So not good. But when the purpose is higher and when your own comfort or discomfort is secondary, and we take it as sacrifice. We take it as sacrifice. कि ठीक है ये करना है तो ये थोड़ा हो जाएगा तो दिक्कत नहीं है. Of course, it is a pain, and a lot of disappointment comes, and a lot of discouragement also comes. लोग कहते हैं तुमको और कोई काम नहीं. But in your heart that what you're doing is correct. What you're doing is for greater good of the society. What you're doing is beyond the call of duty. It is the call of humanity. Then it is kind of cathartic. This catharsis comes. और दूसरा क्या है कि we ourselves consider ourselves as workers. We never thought कि हम leader हैं, ये हैं, वो हैं, मैं IG हूँ. I never consider that. I am also a worker. You are also a worker. So together, we are together in this drive. जो काम तुम करोगे वो मैं भी कर दूंगा. वहां से खुद से फिर लोग कहते हैं नहीं सर ये आप मत करो, ये हम कर लेंगे. So my job there was mobilization resources, collection of resources, logistic arrangements. ये मेरा काम. सबसे मुश्किल काम वही, किसी से पैसा मांग नहीं सकते. The most difficult thing in this world is to take money out from somebody's wallet or pocket. It is not coming out. So वहां जाके कहना कि सर ये कर दो, वो कर दो. See, Reliance Foundation gave us food. They were giving us 4,000 food packets per day. So when they were auditing, I was told that the bill was 57 lakh rupees. We were distributing 30,000 food packets. तो एक दिन ऐसे ही बैठ करके ना I did a kind of extrapolation कि हमने कितने का किया होगा. It was kind of heartening and satisfying, but these things keep coming, and the path, the right path, the true path of truth, righteousness, justice is never easy. It is an uphill task. But if you keep focused on your goal and think ये सब चीजें आती जाती रहती, then only you will keep yourself motivated, because then you get connected to a higher authority, which is the creator. और वहां आपका कोई कुछ नहीं बिगाड़ सकता, वहां पूरा justice है. So I always believed in this कि मेरा जो भी कर रहा हूँ वो लिखा जा रहा है कहीं पे, and somebody else higher or superior is seeing me, and my intentions are truthful, my things are correct, my path is correct, then ठीक है. होता है, बड़े लोग सफर हुए, बुद्ध को घर छोड़ना पड़ा, राम had to go for वनवास, prophet had to migrate, Jesus was crucified, you know. So बड़े उनका तो बहुत बड़ा है, अपना तो छोटा मोटा. Just like this.
Yes, a real hero, a true hero, not what we see on the picture, but a real life hero. So salute to you, sir. It was a fantastic session, and we're very grateful for you to take your time out and share your experiences and wisdom. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Vasudev. We also have Mr. Narayan Pradhan, who's a Vice President for Lulu Exchange. Sir, if you may share a few words with us.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your this one, our address to us. Really, I will call it. You are blessed to get this first-hand information on how you managed this COVID. In fact, being in GCC, when we are seeing that slum area, Dharavi, all these things were really scared. But today, when I saw that how you managed, really, I think that this is a perfect case study to be taught by international institutes. How you managed this COVID situation in Mumbai. And some of the management thought, as usual, we have taken note of it, that first you have to build up your credibility to be trusted. That's the number one. Second, that you should have clear about your goals, what you are going to do, as you rightly told, that others will tell, लोग तो कुछ कहेंगे, लोगों का काम है कहना, तो कुछ ना कुछ कहते रहेंगे, but you have to be clear about your goals. Then networking, that is quite important also, to get support from others. That is also one of the key areas to become successful. And your capability to organize relief and all that, which you mentioned, really, we appreciate, sir. And your passion for being human, and also to consider everyone that वो मेरा भाई है, वो हमारा घर का ही है, चाहे किसी भी social status से हो. So ये सब जो learning आपने दिया है, really we are grateful from the core of our heart, sir. Thank you so much for telling all these beautiful things today, and really it cheers up our entire year rather in 2021 to listen to your successful story and how you managed a really human crisis. Thank you, sir. Once again, we'll love to listen to you more in coming days. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pradhanji. I also invite Mr. Joseph Cletus, who's the head of transformation PDD, to just share a few words on this occasion.
Sumit, that was a bouncer. Quaiser sir, thank you for accepting our invitation. The word that we take back is like, no matter actually what stage we came in, we have to leave this place a better place. Sir, we will all take this to the heart, and we promise you, we will leave this a better place. Sir, thank you so much once again. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Joseph. We now come towards the end of the session. Once again, thank you, Mr. Khalid. Thank you sincerely for the wonderful Sunday morning that we just had, and a big salute from all of us for all your services, and thank you so much. We're really humbled by today's session.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sir. Thank you. And I also thank Mr. Piyush, Mr. Vasudevan, Mr. Narayan Pradhan for joining the session. I sincerely thank Mr. Joseph, Unni, Sijo, Pooja, Madhavan, Shane, and entire NFJS team for arranging this wonderful opportunity. It's we usually always talk technical, so just to give you a background, but today it's a human side which connects the technology, and it's wonderful opportunity that we got today. And last but not the least, I thank the entire Lulu and PDD family for joining us today. Thank you one and all, and stay safe. Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
And Khuda Hafiz.
Thank you. Khuda Hafiz, sir. Bye.
Thank you.